What's cooking, Juventus fans? Welcome back to your old lady's favorite YouTube channel. It's a massive big week that we're promised and we're told that was happening continues. We're waiting for the moments, waiting for the white smoke, the black smoke, whatever you want to call it. Is it going to happen? Is it not going to happen? We have many moves in the Mercado to discuss, not only the big name. We know what you're talking about, Paul Pogba. We got Di Maria. We have multiple other options when it comes to the center back position, as well as what's going to happen with the left back. We know there's a lot of you on the channel who care about the left back. We're going to get into it. Make sure you stay with us. We'll fill you in. Ciao ragazzi, welcome back to the Bianconeri Zone. My name is Justin Sofro. Today, it is Wednesday, May 25th, 2022, and of course I got your latest rundown of all things Juventus, all the news that you care about each and every day, sometimes in a bite-sized portion, usually not because I'm long-winded. Before we do anything though, please hit that like button, smash that subscribe button, and hit that bell icon to stay notified for all of our latest videos. But without further ado, because it's kind of a lengthy one today, we're going to get into it. First up, let's talk about Paul Pogba. Actually, no. No. Slow down, Justin. Not Paul Pogba. Left back. We're talking left back. Calm down. All right, we're talking about the left back position. Giovanni Albanese has a report saying that Juventus are moving for Destiny Udogie. He is highly regarded abroad, but the Bianconeri have made contact with Udinese. So finally, the very first signs that Juventus are really moving for the player to bring in the left back to be the replacement, I guess. We say, obviously, to me, it's a better left back option than Alexandro, but I guess really to be replacing that of Luca Pellegrini, given he's probably on the outs, probably leaving the club because Alexandro and his deal and how expensive he is, and we're probably going to have to wait another season. But really, he's replacing that of Alexandro. He'll be the main guy there. And if you've seen him play, and if you've seen the things that he can do, he is a solid player for Udinese, and he is definitely going to be a good option for Juventus to bring in. Obviously, me personally, I hope that he becomes a spectacular option, not only for Juventus, but also for the Azzurri, because he is an Italian player moving forward. We'll keep you updated with that, but it's like the very first steps of really knowing that Juventus are moving for their option at left back. Another one to keep an eye out is for that of Wijndal as well. Actually, I think it's Wijndal. I think it's not a W pronounced with a V. European stuff confuses me. All right, let's continue on. Now, Justin, you're unleashed. Talk about Paul Pogba. All right. Tutto Sport is talking about Paul Pogba's return to Juventus, saying that his return to Turin is getting closer and closer, and the Bianconeri are confidently awaiting the white smoke that will take place after settling some details on the contract proposal. One thing we know for certain, I talked about it last night a little bit during the late video, but basically one thing we're just waiting on pins and needles for when that meeting's going to happen, because it feels pretty confident that a lot of Juventus, or the Juventus management, fans, whatever, when it comes to this meeting, and this meeting happens, and by the time that it has adjourned, Paul Pogba will be a Juventus player, and that's what I'm hoping for, and I'm going to stay confident. Like I said, I will eat all the crow, whatever it takes at the end. You all can lambast me if it doesn't happen, but I'm sticking with my guns, and I'm going to say Paul Pogba will be a Juventus player, hopefully by the end of this week. We'll see if the meeting actually happens this week. We're told it should, but we have no notification of when and where it's happening, but that it will be happening. All right, let's move on, though, from Paul Pogba talking about to the other top player, or at least when I say top player, the other player that Juventus could easily sign here in the coming days, and that's Di Maria. And we actually have a little bit of a shakeup with that situation, because NNL Sports reporting that Di Maria has made up his mind. He is ready to accept Juventus' offer, but for now, hesitation entered in for two reasons linked to each other. One is that Juve could not take advantage of the growth decree. I think that's if they sign for 2 years. Has to be more than 1 year. He has to sign for 2 years or so for them to take advantage of that. I could be wrong, but I think that's what it is. So take that with a lump of salt, if you will. And then that Allegri asked for super motivated players. And I think what he's saying is he wants young players that are trying to come out here and prove themselves. Obviously, Di Maria would not fit that mold, because he's already kind of proven himself in the past and over the years. Di Maria is a good player, but is he, being that he's already in kind of retirement mode, is this going to be a situation where Di Maria is going to come in, give a half, I don't want to say a half bleep effort, right? Half bleep. Yeah, you're welcome. Kids at home don't have to hear naughty words. There we go. We'll see what happens. I still think Di Maria would be a good option for Juventus to get, but it looks a little bit like his, assumed future with Juventus is a little bit less clear at this moment. Next up, we got to talk about the summit. We're talking about the big summit that happened with Allegri, talking about what the future of this Mercato means and pertains to for Juventus. Obviously, Alejandro doing me a great job with my terrible eyesight over here. If you look at how tiny this text is for me. But anyway, I'll read it for you guys. Nicola Balice has an update on all this stuff, talking about the summit, saying that the summit with Allegri is scheduled not only Di Maria and Pogba, but no less than 6 or 7 signings will be needed in this Mercato. That's a big Mercato. And this is like, it's a big shakeup. Juventus, the past 2 seasons have not been good enough. We can sugarcoat it all we want. We can say they played with Everett. We can say whatever you want to say. But as we know right now, the last 2 seasons have not been good enough for Juve or Juve fans. Right now, we expect more. So they're making the efforts to bring in better players, move the players that have been fairly, I would say useless. Continuing on that, he's still open casting for a central defender. It's not decided. Badiashile remains at the top of the wish list. I don't know why I'm doing like I sound like Sloth from Ice Age. What's up, guy? Anyway, I don't know why I'm doing that. I have a kid. I saw Ice Age came out when I was in middle school. I'm talking about it because I saw it for the first time like a week ago. My kid loves it. Anyway, continuing on for the stuff that you actually care about. But there are increasing new leads to Arsenal's Gabriel. We've talked about that. Obviously, a swap between Archer and him would make sense for both clubs. The margins of going for Bremer and Koulibaly options are further reduced right now. Obviously, given that Bremer's halfway into Inter, Koulibaly, the Napoli situation. Then that the Acerbi and Romagnoli suggestions proposed by agents are a no for the club, which, sweet baby Jesus, can't even speak a word yet. Sweet baby Jesus, in your little crib, maybe with this order of Domino's, Pizza Hut, and Taco Bell. If you know that reference, you know what I'm saying. Anyway, thank you, thank you for no Acerbi, no Romagnoli. The club doesn't need to do that unless you can get them like after you get the main guy. I don't know why I'm doing this like I'm still talking to, whatever. You know what I'm saying? At this point, they're no's for me. Stick with the young guys. Stick with guys that'll be good. Badiashile would be a fantastic pickup. Anyway, continue on though. They talk about the left back position, saying that Alexandro can be sold. Udogie and Wijndal. I gotta stop myself doing that. Are in pole position while De Sciglio's fate could remain on hold until Pellegrini's fate is decided. And what I wonder is when they're saying that about Alexandro can be sold, would you bring in 2 left backs then, especially if you're going to have to move Pellegrini? I feel like in that circumstance, it might be a little bit difficult to get 2 of them unless you can get them for a cheaper option. But I think if you can get Udogie or Wijndal, either one are good ones. I would go with Udogie because I think he has a longer you know my reasonings. It's not exactly just because of what I think for Juventus. It also has to do with the Azzurri. I know I'm biased. All right. Continuing on, another midfielder will be needed. Once Artur's transfer is defined, watch out for Paredes and Keane. Again, this does nothing for me. I know, and I got cut yesterday. I got a drop cut from what I said. Thank you, Davide. Basically, our producer Davide now at this point, with the way that he's doing this stuff. He's cutting sound, me inappropriately saying things that I didn't mean at the time. It doesn't excite me. We'll just skip the part that I said in the middle. Paredes does not do that for me. I'd say thanks, but no thanks. To me, I think if you're going for an option, especially with the rumors lately that Rabiot and Chelsea, there's interest there. Honestly, what I would do is I would work out a deal. I understand if you bring in Paredes for Keane, you can end up getting Paredes and money. So that could factor into it while if you were to make a swap deal potentially with this one, and there's been no rumors to this, this is just me and my thinking in my head and where it goes. I think if you're getting Pogba, if you're going for a second guy that could be a good option, you already have Pogba, why not go after Jorginho? Jorginho better than Paredes, I would say. Go after Jorginho. Yeah, you'd have to pay a little over the top while sending Rabiot out, but you're getting rid of Rabiot, and you're getting a better midfielder than I think Paredes is in this option. So I'd go after Jorginho, and that's what I would do. Paredes, thanks, but no thanks. If you all disagree with me, let me know in the comment section down below. Continue on, though, in the final part of Nicola Belice's comments, he says that big maneuvers are also in the attack. They will still try to keep Morata. Obviously, we know the situation going on with how expensive it's going to be for Atletico Madrid, and he doesn't have a ton of suitors right now. Another forward is expected because Juventus will try to get rid of Moise Kean. So that's where I go with Raspadori. We know Gabriel Jesus has been rumored with Juventus for a long time. Hasn't happened yet. Obviously, he's pretty keen. Sorry for the the pun, if you will, on leaving Manchester City. But at the same time, to me, I think I'd go for Raspadori and stick with him, unless you can get. I don't know how many guys they're going to get and how many attackers they're going to get. But to me, Raspadori seems to be again another option like Udogie as a young, talented player who brings a lot of hustle, a lot of energy, and can be a really good player for Juventus, a really good player for the Azzurri. And then also, like I said, I think he has that kind of passion that he would bring. I don't know, Gabriel Jesus would be bringing the same kind of passion to the table. Let's continue it on. Talking about a name that may excite you guys. Once again, we're back on the Milinkovic-Savic train. Tudo Sports reporting, and maybe they're just trying to throw these out there to get people excited, just to get you let down once again. But they're reporting that Juventus are not abandoning the track leading to Milinkovic-Savic, for whom in recent days new contacts have been made that will continue to confirm the request of 50 to 60 million euros for the Serbian, a figure considered too high. Obviously, similar situation. I know I'm not trying to bring Big Z into this just to bring Big Z into this, but we talked about 50 million for Big Z and what they're offering. And obviously, you have 1 year left on his contract. So yeah, I understand not wanting to pay these kind of exorbitant wages. Big Z doesn't have a lot of competition there. So let's move on from him. I know somebody's going to get upset and get their panties in a bunch because I mentioned Zaniolo. But what I'm saying here is if you're not willing to pay that for him, yes, you'd be more willing to pay that for Milinkovic-Savic because, one, he's a better player. He's not injury prone. The latest I'd heard was 70 million euros or 80 million euros. Now we're looking at 50 or 60 million euros. And what I'm saying is that's kind of a good sign, right? I'd imagine if you're a Juventus fan, this is a good sign. What this says to me is, oh, the number's dropping. Will it drop to the point that Juventus can pay it easily or welcome the payment option? I don't know. But as it stands right now, 50 to 60 million euros look better than the 70 and 80 that were recently rumored out there. If you tell me that you can bring in Pogba and Milinkovic-Savic, oh, now we're cooking with oil. That's what I'm saying. And Davide, don't cut that. Don't do that. Don't do that to me. Anyway, that's where it stands right now. It's still an option for Juventus. Will they be able to negotiate with Lotito? Will he even be open to the idea of doing it? I don't know. I still tend to lead toward it's not both of them. That's not really a possibility. It's only a possibility if Pogba turns down Juventus and ends up going to PSG. But we'll keep an eye on it. That's my situation. Obviously, this is I'm going to do it to myself. It would be a wet dream to be able to add both of those players. Yeah, I said that. Yeah. You give me a little Savic, give me a little Pogba. Yeah. Now you got me a little bit hot and bothered. That's what I'm saying. All right, let's continue on. I don't know why I do this to myself. Okay, let's continue on. Tudo Sports talking about the replacements for Chiellini. Juventus are looking at 3 players to replace Chiellini. Gabriel of Arsenal, they won 50 million euros. Arthur could be included. Could be a swap deal there. Then they also bring up the idea of Koulibaly, who is less expensive, but is dealing with Napoli is again another difficult situation. Sucks to deal with Lazio. Sucks to deal with Napoli. Sucks to deal with Torino. Then finally, there's Milinkovic, contract until 2023 at 15 million euros. Obviously, if you know me here, I'm okay with the Gabriel option, but I do like the Milinkovic one. I think he's a solid player. I think you can get him for cheap, and I think you could use him as a stopgap until you're getting the next guy who is going to be your long-term central or center back. One of the things I wonder is when it comes to Badiashile, if he could be that guy. I'd almost say, and I understand I'm spending club money. I'm not spending my own money. So it's a very different story and a very different idea when I'm spending money for them. But if you could, and you can get Badiashile and you think he's going to be that long-term decision, I don't think you really can say much against it. You've got to make that move. Because I don't know that Gabriel will be. I don't think Koulibaly will be a long-term decision. And, of course, I don't think Milinkovic-Savic, but I do like him as a stopgap player. That's where I sit with it. All right, let's continue on. Talking about the midfield options that Juventus have, they have some moves that can be made there. Corriere dello Sport are saying, and this is one that's not going to excite me, this is not going to get me all hot and bothered, and that is there were 3 names on the list of those who could leave. Artur, okay. Rabiot, okay. And McKennie. McKennie would be a little bit of a disappointment to see him leave, but I can understand these losses, having to take that on the chin to get better players and different options for Juventus. And just as many on Cherubini's notebook as replacements, the names of Thomas Partey, Paredes, and Fratesi of Sassuolo. I'll be honest. I need to watch a bit more Satesi for me to really know the level of his play and how good of an option he really be for Juventus. If he's a long-term real solution. Before I really speak on him, but Partey, he did not have a good couple years there with Arsenal. I don't know. I think his stock has dropped a lot. I think Alejandro talked about it, and I think with Julian yesterday in the live. I don't know. I think, or maybe Alejandro may have talked about it in his daily, the early morning daily, talking about Partey. This doesn't excite me. I know a couple of years ago he seemed like an exciting option. I just don't think he is right now. I don't think he has the same kind of panache to him. In the Paredes, I've spoken on him. No thanks. That's where I said no thanks. If you're going to go after a midfielder, you got to go after. I mean, to me, the three that would excite me. And again, not everybody's going to agree with me. Milinkovic-Savic, Pogba, and Jorginho. Get those, and I'm excited, and I'm okay with giving up McKennie if you can get a Jorginho in here. But I don't know that those three names are anything that I would really invest in. And I could be wrong, but that's how it stands right now. Let's talk about other options Juventus are looking at because Chiesa will not be ready at the start of the season. You're going to need somebody there to be a quote-unquote stopgap for the left wing position there. Gazzetta dello Sport's talking about they need some help for Chiesa as he will be out for a while. And that's why, like I'm saying, probably October, November before he really starts to get going again. And I hope he can get going after that. If not, that's another thing we got to look at. That's why the club looked at Perisic, who's not happening. Inter's renewing him. And now at Kostic, who will cost 15 million euros. Kostic, I think, could be a good option to bring in 15 million euros. Not a lot of money. And he could be a decent player to fit in that role. Again, that's where the situation is. We'll see if any other wingers end up popping up in the coming weeks. A lot of these deals aren't going to get done for a little bit. The ones that we can really pay attention for this week and next week, obviously, are going to be the Pogba and the Di Maria stuff before the Mercado really opens. Okay, and then we're continuing on talking about the youngsters at Juventus, who's going to be utilized more. I think more and more steam is building behind this. Just saying to the sports reporting, Juventus' move to fix the midfield will not stop at Pogba. Manetti is increasingly moving towards confirmation, having won Allegri's trust, and he could also be joined by one of Ravella and Fagioli. So this is a little bit, actually, like I said, steam was gathering, but this did a little bit differently than I was expecting. Basically because they're saying Manetti could be confirmed, but then you could still have one of Fagioli or Ravella. Under my understanding and my belief for the longest time, it was going to be one of those three would take a spot. Not two of them could. So that could be some good news for you Fagioli lovers out there who would be disappointed to see him end up moving on. Or if you're a Ravella lover as well, we'll see which one of those two. If they ends up becoming a battle between just those two players, we'll see which one ends up triumphant. Final news story of the day here, and that is Tutto Sports talking about Torino. They're not easy. We know Cairo is a pain in the bleep. Here's the situation. Torino and Juventus will soon meet to talk about Mandragora and Chiesa. If, for the Croatian, there is a hypothesis of a new loan that would satisfy both clubs. The situation in the Italian midfielder is more complicated. The obligation to buy Mandragora is at 9.5 million euros. I think I said that wrong. It's Mandragora, whatever. He's not a Juve player. He's not going to be a Juve player. Don't care. The obligation has been at 9.5 million euros, has been waived as he has not reached 20 appearances. As right now, he only started 16. Season's over. he only started 16, and now the price is 14 million euros, a figure that Torino would not want to spend that high. Juve will try to negotiate with Lazio, Fiorentina, and Roma. So we'll see if any of those options open up that they want to end up bringing the player in, since Torino will probably not agree to it. Cairo, Lotito, they're not, even though Camiso's over here talking bad about Juve, it's what he does, but then he still does deals with Juve. I don't see them, and then, dealer into Swamp Man, if you will. Not exactly lovers of the Bianconeri and Agnelli. So we'll see what happens. That's the situation with Mandragora. Is that how I said it? Is that correct? Anyway, that's the situation. Who cares? He's not going to be a Juve player in the future. And watch me be wrong. Anyway, guys, that'll do it for the news today. Let me know your thoughts in the comment section down below. Any players you like, any moves you disagree with, especially with the comments that I made, potentially some of my hypotheticals. Do you disagree with them? Let me know your reasonings in the comment section down below. If you haven't already, please smash that like button, hit the subscribe button. Make sure you follow me at Justin Sofro on Twitter, as well as Bianconeri Zone at Bianconeri Zone, Twitter, Instagram, Facebook. I'll see you guys next time. Forza Juve. Forza Bianconeri.